The prison had grown quiet again. 2 years had passed since the day Joseph helped the cupbearer and the baker understand their dreams. The baker's dream came true, just as Joseph had said. The cupbearer returned to his work in Pharaoh's palace, holding the king's cup once again. But the cupbearer forgot something important. He forgot Joseph. Joseph had asked him kindly, "Please remember me when you return to Pharaoh. Tell him about me, so I can leave this place." Yet the days turned into weeks, weeks turned into months, and months slowly became 2 whole years. Joseph remained in the prison. The stone walls were cold. The small window let in only a little sunlight. Sometimes Joseph would sit quietly and look at the thin beam of light on the floor. Did he feel sad sometimes? Yes. Did he wonder when things would change? Of course. But Joseph did something very special during those long days. He trusted God. Joseph remembered that God had been with him when his brothers sold him long ago. God had been with him when he worked in Potiphar's house. God had been with him in the prison too. And Joseph believed that even here, in this quiet place, God had not forgotten him. So Joseph kept helping others in the prison. He spoke kindly to the prisoners. He worked faithfully with the guards. And every night, before he slept, Joseph prayed and trusted that God's plan was still unfolding. Then one night, far away in the great palace of Egypt, something unusual happened. Pharaoh, the powerful ruler of the land, had a dream. In his dream, Pharaoh stood beside the wide blue Nile River. The morning sun sparkled on the water, and tall green reeds swayed gently in the breeze. Suddenly, 7 cows came up out of the river. They were strong and healthy cows, with shiny coats and bright eyes. They walked slowly into the grass and began eating peacefully. But then, something strange happened. 7 more cows came out of the river. These cows looked very different. They were thin, their bones showed through their skin, and they looked weak and hungry. The thin cows walked toward the healthy cows. And then, in the strange way that dreams sometimes work, the thin cows ate the healthy cows. Pharaoh woke up with a start. He blinked in the darkness and rubbed his eyes. "What a strange dream," he whispered. Soon Pharaoh fell asleep again, but another dream came. This time he saw 7 tall heads of grain growing on a single stalk. They were full and golden, swaying gently in the warm wind. Then 7 more heads of grain appeared. These were thin and dry, withered by the harsh desert wind. And just like the cows in the first dream, the thin heads of grain swallowed up the full golden ones. Pharaoh woke up again. Now the sun was beginning to rise, and Pharaoh felt troubled in his heart. What could these dreams mean? So Pharaoh called all the wise men and magicians of Egypt. They gathered in the great palace hall. The tall pillars reached high toward the ceiling, and colorful paintings covered the walls. Pharaoh told them both dreams carefully. The wise men listened. They whispered to each other. They scratched their heads, but no one could explain the dreams. The room grew quiet. Pharaoh felt frustrated. Then suddenly, someone in the room remembered something. It was the cupbearer. His eyes widened as a memory came rushing back. "Your Majesty," he said, stepping forward nervously. "Today I remember my mistake." Pharaoh looked at him. "What do you mean?" The cupbearer bowed his head. 2 years ago, when I was in prison, there was a young Hebrew man there. He explained dreams for me and the baker, and everything happened exactly as he said. Pharaoh leaned forward in his chair. "Bring him to me at once," he commanded. Messengers hurried out of the palace and ran toward the prison. Soon they reached Joseph. "Pharaoh has called for you," they said. Joseph was surprised. Quickly he washed and changed his clothes so he would be ready to stand before the king. Then Joseph walked through the palace gates. The halls were wide and bright. Servants moved quietly from room to room. Guards stood tall beside the doors. At last Joseph stood before Pharaoh. Pharaoh looked at him carefully. "I had dreams," Pharaoh said, "and no one can explain them, but I have heard that you can understand dreams when you hear them." Joseph spoke gently. "I cannot do it by myself," he said, "but God can give the answer that Pharaoh needs." Pharaoh nodded and told Joseph the 2 dreams. Joseph listened closely. He thought for a moment. Then he spoke. "Both dreams mean the same thing," Joseph explained kindly. "God is showing Pharaoh what will soon happen." Pharaoh and the court listened carefully. 7 years are coming when the land of Egypt will grow great amounts of food, Joseph said. The fields will be full, the harvests will be strong and plentiful. The people in the hall began to smile. But Joseph continued, after those 7 good years, 7 very hard years will come. A great famine will spread across the land. Food will become very scarce. The room became quiet again. But God has shown Pharaoh this dream twice, Joseph said, because it will surely happen, and it will happen soon. Pharaoh sat silently, thinking. Then Joseph added something wise. Pharaoh should choose a wise leader, he said, someone who will store extra grain during the 7 good years. Then when the famine comes, the people will have food to eat. The court murmured softly. Pharaoh looked at Joseph again. This young man had come from prison only moments ago, yet he spoke with calm wisdom and trusted God openly. Pharaoh turned to his advisors. Can we find anyone wiser than this man? He asked. So Pharaoh stood and made a surprising decision. Joseph, he said, since God has shown you these things, you will lead this work. You will be in charge of gathering the food and preparing for the years ahead. Gasps filled the hall. Pharaoh removed a special ring from his hand and placed it on Joseph's finger. This ring showed authority. Then Pharaoh gave Joseph fine clothes and a golden chain. You will be second in command over all Egypt, Pharaoh declared. Only I will be greater than you. And just like that, Joseph's life changed. In a single day, Joseph went from prison to palace, from forgotten prisoner to trusted leader. But Joseph did not forget who helped him. He knew it was God. God had been with him in the pit, in the house, in the prison, and now in the palace. Joseph worked faithfully, gathering grain during the 7 good years, just as God had shown him. And because Joseph trusted God, many people would one day be saved from hunger. Sometimes life feels slow. Sometimes it feels like nothing is changing. Joseph waited many long days in prison. But when God's time came, everything changed in one day. Guess what? God's love is always quiet, faithful, and perfectly on time. So if you ever feel forgotten, remember Joseph. God always sees and truly cares for you. Seriously, God's plan is always moving forward, even if you can't see it yet. Now, the palace lights grow dim. The stars shine softly in the night sky. Joseph rests after a long and wonderful day, knowing God is guiding every step. And as you close your eyes tonight, remember this gentle truth. God's love is always with you. Have courage in your heart. Sleep peacefully. Good night, little one. Sweet dreams.